Hi, this is Heidi, episode 47, Anti-Racism and Confidence. Life isn't a spectator sport. Success comes to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. I'm glad you're here. Hello, friends, family, listeners. Happy July. Summer is in full swing. Although my kids and I both thought it's been a weird transition to summer since the end of school. Milestones didn't happen. I really hope your family's healthy and well. I hope you've been able to intentionally decide what you will put back into your life after this season where we had to put down most of life. Everything we do is a choice. Even if we've been conditioned to think, oh, I have to do these things. Remember, we don't have to. So here in 2020, we are not only dealing with a global health pandemic and crisis. Here in the US, a new light, or new to some of us, a new light and reckoning is beginning with the racial injustices and inequalities in our society. I am not an anti-racist expert at all. I won't pretend to be, but I do know a lot about confidence. And to do my own work regarding racism, I may have been conditioned to believe I am listening to a lot of books and Audible and looking to diversify my circle of influence. I have been studying this work from the experts, and I've noticed a very direct link between those who are willing to examine their own anti-racism and racism and confidence. So this episode is a reflection of my insights, my thoughts, some examples of how, as you do your own racism and anti-racism internal work, you can notice where you have stronger confidence or less, where you feel secure and where you can see your own insecurities, where you know your worth and value, and then places where you feel doubt and lower self-esteem. What I see is that those individuals who are really able to examine their racist tendencies, which I also see are almost all unintended. These are very great, good people and include myself. But still those who are willing to say, hey, I see this in me. I don't like it. I didn't know it was there, are people who are the most confident and secure people. And if we see this and examine this, we can identify how we can all strengthen different parts of our confidence and the lens through which we see ourselves so we can all learn, grow, and change. So that right there, when we want to make any type of change or improvement in ourselves, we have to be willing to say, I love myself now. I've been doing the very best I can. There's nothing broken about me. And I have this new information, or I've learned new things. I'm learning a new way of thinking, of being. I'm learning how what I've been taught was wrong or hurtful. And I want to be better in the future. This mindset requires us to really be okay making mistakes. We have to be okay and love ourselves, both with weaknesses, admitting where we could have been wrong or where we could have hurt people, and now be willing to take responsibility and change. This is part of the work of dropping perfectionism. The only way for our country, our society, our culture to change is if we're willing to admit where we have been conditioned to think a certain way and where it has been harmful. And this requires a lot of humility and also vulnerability. We have to be willing to get a few things wrong as we change. And being vulnerable is going to require us to develop even more confidence that we can make mistakes. And mistakes make us stronger, that our mistakes are what a new future is made of. I love the symbolism of the Japanese artwork of kintsugi, of repairing broken pottery with gold and other precious metals. They believe the brokenness of the pottery makes it even more valuable. So the cracks and broken pieces are pieced back together with metals of the highest quality. I put an example of kintsugi on the podcast episode artwork for this episode on my website and in iTunes, anywhere where you can see this specific episode artwork. Or you can Google kintsugi and see images. It's beautiful, and the symbolism is so poignant. If we take this awakening, which I know is not an awakening for the victims of racism, and reckoning as an opportunity to piece ourselves back together with gold and the most precious materials, we can be so much better and stronger afterwards. And I mean back together as groups who are diverse and accepting and learning through this. I think it's totally possible, and it takes all of us individually being able to tell ourselves, I am whole, I am complete, and I'm perfect, especially with any racist thoughts and tendencies I have. I can change. In fact, change means I'm learning and growing. It doesn't mean I was bad before. Change means I want to do better. I've learned more. I want to be an influence for good. And doing better means I can face my own dark corners of my personality. The work of confidence for many of us is letting go of concern for what other people think of us. Often our insecurities are totally rooted in thinking other people would judge us or won't accept us into a group. We don't know what other people are thinking, and what they're thinking is a reflection of their confidence, of their life experiences, and maybe their education or lack of education on the anti-racism and racism history and movement. The change needed to stand up to racism is going to require the confidence of us to not laugh at racist jokes, for us to stand up for one person, even if a whole group is laughing. It's going to take us having the confidence to say in defense of someone, that wasn't very nice, that was racist, I don't approve of that. And us doing that, not knowing who in the group is going to react to that or agree with it, that takes courage and confidence. The price of not doing it is perpetrating inequalities and living in fear of what other people think instead of courageously and vulnerably trying to make a change in the world. And courage is hard. Courage is fear walking. Courage and vulnerability walk hand in hand because guess what? Everyone won't agree with us, but it's worth it to know we are standing in the integrity of who we want to be and we are willing to change. It takes confidence and self-assuredness to say, I want to do better. If any of us feel an earthquake moving below our self-identity, it takes confidence to tell ourselves we can feel this moving ground. There might be cracks afterwards, but we choose if the cracks are good or bad. We always get to choose what we make the cracks mean. Do they make us more valuable instead of broken and weaker? There seems to be a tendency for some people to want to look away from the anti-racism and racism movement. The facts, the stories, they don't want to see it. They want to bury their heads in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist. But not looking doesn't change the fact that it is there. It's been part of the air we've been breathing. It reminds me of how we might gain weight and not want to get on the scale to see what we weigh. This is a very simplistic example. Getting on the scale does not change anything about our body. We weigh what we weigh regardless if we see the number on the scale. Now, weight gain isn't harmful to others the way racism is. Just because we aren't willing to face the facts, though, face the feelings and experiences of minorities, does not mean they aren't there. It's still there, just like our weight is still there, even if we don't know what the number is. Now, again, a side note, I'm not comparing the two issues. I'm comparing the tendency to want to bury our heads and not know. In both cases, we have to love ourselves enough, be confident and secure enough that we can face the facts and know our worth. We need to be confident that we can manage our brain and our emotions while facing the ugly and harmful facts of racism. Because the reckoning that we have to do will require discomfort. It will require that we feel some emotions that we don't always like to feel. Some of us might feel shame. Some of us might feel compassion that will break our hearts open. Some of us might feel disappointment or even some insecurity as the ground does shake beneath us. But we know we can handle any feeling, any emotion. This is part of being human. This is the good part of growth. We want to be willing to process these emotions, not run from them or avoid them or resist them. We want to face them, feel them, and process them. If we need to be uncomfortable standing up for minorities or even apologizing, we can all handle discomfort. We can handle embarrassment if it means standing in our integrity. A few moments of courage and fear are the currency that we have to pay to become a higher version of ourselves. Now, I'm hoping to model this and teach this to my children. As humans, we try to avoid emotional pain, thinking a tiger is chasing us, but there are no tigers. We can do this. I know we can. True confidence comes from also knowing that we're not superior to anyone else, regardless of race, ethnicity, anything. And because racism is rooted in a sense of superiority and inferiority, the more confidence we have individually, the more we can fight this. Nothing on the outside can make the inside more valuable. So we have to stop judging from the outside. I hope this is helpful to you as you navigate the change and improvement in your corner of the world. I hope we can all model for our children. As my husband said in one discussion we were having about this topic, change can actually happen faster than we think. The world is learning to pivot faster than it ever has in the past. Okay, that's it for this week. When you are ready to develop a deeper sense of confidence, sign up for a free consult call on HeidiBenjaminson.com. Why not change your perspective, your confidence, your emotions now while your kids are home? You've always hired coaches for them. Now it's time for you to have a coach, and I would be honored to be yours. I hope you have a great week.